And breaking news I have for you all today. This is a little bit off the topic of the end of the world, but it's very extreme. And that's why I decided to share with you guys today that it looks like the Illuminati is planning to wipe our memories by January 1st, 2019. And this sounds kind of crazy. What does this mean? Well, the reported news article originated in the elite's highly sophisticated text. And now I know this seems so weird because January 1st is the beginning of the Gregorian calendar, and that is the date that they plan to do a second Mandela effect, and it's going to be a lot more than anything that we've ever imagined. What I'm seeing, and again, this is a prediction, so we'll see whether or not these plans are successful, because you never know. The future is scary, and I've said a lot, and a lot's happened, and there's also a lot that hasn't happened yet. Like, I mean, so far the power's still on. The world still functions as it has, and so far doomsday hasn't set foot in the door as we've expected it. But what I'm predicting now is that by January 1st of the year 2019, a few short months away, the higher powers will have the control so high that they will be able to manipulate our minds to wipe away memories that we actually shouldn't be losing. For instance, the Mandela effect, those of you that are aware of that, was an effect that occurred between 2013 and 2015 or something, where things of the memory that seem to have been real, like I remember OxyClean that was OXY clean. Okay, I know that there was an OxyClean with a Y. Apparently now it's always been an I and it's never been a Y. I don't know how. Other things like the Berenstein Bears being AIN instead of EIN. I don't know. There's also VHSs that I've seen that have it EIN. I don't know. But they seem to be very minor. They're just a little bit spooky. They're just like, why is OxyClean and Febreze spelled wrong? Or you look at Fruit Loops and it's FROOT and then Loops. And I remember FRUIT, not FROO. It's just weird. So again, these seemingly minute differences have had a huge effect on the world as a whole. But what I'm seeing, and with the technology in 2018, with, say, the smartphones, iPhones, and stuff like that, this is all set up for next year is going to be a huge change. It's like a super brainwashing, super powered brainwashing, where since they've got these iPhones with full control, they're going to take it one step further as the year turns into 2019. And let me give you a few examples of what that might entail. And again, I'm quoting here from the Elite Superpowers on chapter 25 of their current status in this is in actually out of Cleveland, Ohio, for this one article that I'm seeing. It says that the powers in place of, like, say, like the smartphone and other types of technology are set up to gear the mind in a direction opposite to which it was originally created or originally designed. That the technology we have in place is a manipulation device. So listen carefully to this, okay? So as God created mankind to think and process by himself, and as we were created by a supernatural force, which we consider as believers to be Elohim or God. To the Muslims, it's Allah, or to the Christians, it's God Almighty. That this supernatural force has created us to think on our own. And when we read books, like if we read the Odyssey, or say we read books like The Silver Chair or The Lord of the Rings, or a book like, for instance, the Bible, if we read the books, we have our own mindset that was a God-given ability to intellectually understand what we read, and also to be able to physically take on the traits, as far as when we read "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal," we physically personify those commandments, and we understand how to do so. We understand that, well, thou shalt not kill means thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal is thou shalt not steal. Like, it's intuitive in our beings what we read and how we interpret that which we read. But this is where the Illuminati is trying to mess with our brains. They've got iPhones, smartphones, iPads, different technology that is playing with our minds to the extent that not only will we think less, but we will also think contrary to the intuition which we were created for. And again, that might seem convoluted, but as I express it in a realistic form, let me give an example. For instance, those that have lived in the past, if they read, say, in the Bible, where it talks about, say, in Psalm 91, it says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the protection." When we read that, we understand that you must abide in the protection of Almighty God, and that is our supernatural dwelling place. Well, the way things are going with this full control, mind control, is that memories of the past are being deleted, and not just these small memories, but it is coming to be greater and greater than ever before, to be memories of, let's just give an example of, say, people that we've known changing, also historical events changing, and most importantly, the Word of God is being understood in a different light than it has before. And this is coming down with a very high standing push toward a, uh, a planned agenda where, instead of them teaching evolution in schools, I believe that the future is going to change its path into teaching a simulated reality as the means of why we're here, who brought us here, where we're going when we die. And again, this is just a minuscule conjecture, and mainly based on my own personal opinion and what I've seen by how things are going. But hear me out. By January 2019, that is when they're planning a gigantic, and again, the Mandela effect was gigantic, but it's greater than Mandela effect. It's, how shall I describe it? I mean, we haven't seen it yet. It's in the future, but the plan is that the knowledge that we have shall be taken away, and a new standing will be set up. That is part of the simulated reality. Well, now it's mainly in movies, and also people like Elon Musk and so forth and so on. Very intelligent and intellectual people are going toward this reality-based idea, that reality is simulated, and that God would also be simulated, and Jesus, well, that's all just simulated. And if we go to the extent in which common knowledge, and again, that doesn't make it true, but just that the common knowledge and understanding of people are that they personally believe that knowledge is simulated, Jesus is simulated, God is simulated, you and I are simulated. If we're all simulated, that will, for one, make it so, you know, what's right and what's wrong. Just whoever wrote the simulation would have to be the one in control of what's right and what's wrong. But again, that would mess up the way of interpreting the Bible. That if we read in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the world, that would end up being personified as the simulated God created a simulated reality. Or even somebody outside of the simulation called Elohim created a simulated reality, which seems scary to most religious believers, because if life was simulated, then in some ways the entire Bible could be considered pointless and useless. But on the other hand, if life was not simulated and we just assume by this crazy belief that we were simulated, then it will make people live in a fantastical reality where they personally believe they're simulated in a reality in which they're not. And this can be detrimental not only to religious people, but also to the entire world. Again, turning to my notes to chapter 35 of the Elite's lectures. And again, I don't know exactly where this is coming from, just that this is supposedly private, well, more or less private knowledge that got leaked. But again, this is just a copy, and it was emailed to me by one of my subscribers, and I've yet to verify the claim. But in this personal, I mean, I've communicated with this person several times back and forth, and in this personal relationship that I'm building up, I have this knowledge that there is a plan then by March of the following year to change the entire world into the one world government. Now, certain people have said that it's going to be some kind of economic collapse or a new world order prior to that, and that March is going to be the setup. I don't know exactly how it's going to be. It could be that March is the setup, or it could be that March is when everything goes down, or it could be behind schedule and not happen for several more months or whatever. But anyway, the plan is that in this coming March of 2019, that is, the elite will set up a higher standard in which it will take all the religions worldwide and try to prove them invalid. That will be the case with Islam and with Muhammad and the Quran, be the case with Christianity. It will take these fundamental beliefs of religion and it will pressure all the religious leaders into denying their religious beliefs. So even the Pope will be somewhat defeated. And this may seem impossible, but hear me out. For one, if it goes to the extent of a simulated reality, every religion is pointless. If instead of saying it's a simulated reality, if the elite or the one world order plan to take a different route, and instead of just going simulated, start out with just classifying all gods are stolen, they're fictitious, they're all nonsensical, what can happen is that people will start denying their faith in the Bible and Islam and Judaism and all these religions worldwide. And if they have a mass deception worldwide where everybody starts denying their fundamental beliefs, they'll have to find something. They'll want to cling to some kind of religion. And again, to all these religious people, atheism is not where they want to go toward, because they know they were created or they know they were designed. They have to have some fundamental belief, because that's what, I mean, a moral belief, all this. Well, that is when they would take on the belief of a simulated reality where God, however they wanted to describe it, that God was the designer of the simulation. Or if they don't have that kind of capacity in their mind to understand that possibly they're simulated, they might, instead of going the route of simulation, they might go toward aliens, that the aliens invaded the planet many, many years ago. And again, this is if there's a planet and if we live on a ball spinning around in space, all assumptions, of course. Which those of you that understand some of the fundamental beliefs of the flat Earth will not fall for this. But if you believe we're on a planet spinning around in space, the belief system will be shoved on people that aliens came and aliens created God and man, and the gods are what we call the aliens, and man is what we call ourselves. And again, I've seen this not only hinted at, but I've also seen this as a huge push is what they're trying to do. And it's only been the last 20 to 30 years that they've come out with supposed tablets and clay, like clay tablets, rocks, and different descriptions from the Babylonians, from the Sumerians, the Canaanites, Hittites, a lot of the places where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob used to live, Ur of the Chaldeans, for example, they've come out with supposed, oh, this is information from Ur of the Chaldeans, where Abraham used to live, saying that God, that he called Yehovah, or the God of the Bible, was not Almighty God, but was a pagan deity that he personified and made his own. So, for instance, when Abraham says, God showed this to me, or God told me this, God said that he's got many descendants, that this is not Yehovah, Almighty Elohim, the one and only powerful God. This is just a God in the pantheistic Canaanite religion. So if Abraham took one of the pagan deities and say these deities are actually aliens, basically that would be making the God of the Bible one of the aliens that created mankind, and the other gods like Baal and Ishtaroth, those are other alien deities that supposedly created mankind. Again, I'm not backing this claim. What I'm doing is saying this as a warning that I believe this belief is going to be pushed on Christianity, on Messianics, on Christians, on Jews, and even on the Muslims. And that would be a train of religious belief that could completely wipe out the three major religions. Because if we have the three major religions being Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, those are the three main religions. And where did they start? They started with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If the Illuminati, or if I want to call it Elu, or the Elu, Elohim, I don't believe they're Elohim, I believe they're and hear me out, Elyonim. Elyon means on high. The Elyonim are those who are on high. Those who are on high, these are the elite. They're on high. They are the Illuminati. And if those that are on high have this power, which I believe they do, they will try to deceive the world into having us think that these Illuminati, these Elu or Elyonim, are alien. And again, these are all just forms of the word of Elyon, alien, elite, Illuminati. It's all the same, okay? If they can convince us that they are also Elohim or gods, we will turn to worshiping the Illuminati as the aliens that created us. So I hope that you're following with this. Once people turn to worshiping the aliens or the Illuminati or the elite or the ones on high, the Elyonim, that is what I believe the great deception is, when in the Bible it talks about that God himself will send strong delusion. And I want to turn there real quick because I know that I've been doing a lot of conjecturing, and I want to give a little bit of the Bible before I close this out. And I'm sorry I'm not following along in the comments. I don't have that opened up. I will be reading your comments afterwards, but right now I'm trying to get my thoughts out, and then I know a lot of times I get interrupted with the comments. So no offense to anybody if they're making comments. This live stream in particular, I'm not answering or doing anything live in the comment section. Okay, so it talks about it, 2 Thessalonians 2. It talks about the man of sin being revealed. who exalteth himself above all that's called God, that he sits in the place of God, showing himself that he is God. And then it says, the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he that now letteth will let until it be taken out of the way. Then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:11 that says this, and for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. And when it talks about believing a lie or great delusion, this delusion has to be so profound, so humongous, that not only will certain people be drawn away, but it will fundamentally shake the foundations of all religious beliefs. I think the only thing that could do that is for the man of sin to appear as an alien. And if people will accept the belief in aliens, which would be the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Hindus, and even the atheists, there's a lot of atheists that would say, oh yeah, there could have been aliens that even created mankind. If that could be the great delusion, it would spread all over the world from the west to the east and north and south, all over the world that will spread. And this plan is to completely deny the Bible, completely deny everything that is called God or that is called the Word of God, and set up another supreme power. And that has to do with the aliens. So again, that is my message. Thank you again for watching. Before I turn this off, I do want to check the comments because I did say a lot. Let's see if I can turn to the comments real quick, because now I got 5 viewers. Thank you guys for watching. So let me see. One person says, I'm scared. Dow Jones dropped 800 points today. 1988 Economics Magazine predicted October 10th. No way, man. How will we ever know what the truth is? Okay. The last question was, how will we ever know what the truth is? That is a philosophical question where I'd like it to remain a question. If I try to answer it, that would put me in the point of one of the Elyon, or the ones on high, the Elven or Illuminati race, okay? I cannot say what is truth. That's something that Yeshua says about truth, and Pontius Pilate, he asks the question, what is truth? And when he says what is truth, he walks out of the Praetorian, he says, I find no fault in this man. And again, he returned, and Yeshua wasn't like, well, I have an idea. Hey, let me tell you all about truth. This is what truth is. He just left it as a question. Pilate says, what is truth? And that is something that's very important. Because what I believe must happen for this great delusion is that not only is it important to understand reality as itself, to understand the principle of the simulated reality, understand aliens, elves, Elyon, all this stuff, all these different religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, all sorts of religions. I believe that it's important to understand the Bible. This is just a King James Bible I've had for about 7 years. I've got another one that's almost 10 years old. Another one I've had all my life. But it's also important to try to disprove the Bible. And this is my point in this, okay? The Bible, as people know it, you know, there's a 66 books, 70, however you want to count them. If you want to count Psalms, it's 5 books, it's 70 books. Doesn't really matter. It's Tanakh, Brut Hadashah, a Bible. But if you take the Bible as absolute fact, okay, and you do not prove it, you just take it as absolute fact, that is a problem, because somebody else can take the Odyssey or Homer's Iliad and say, well, you've accepted the Bible as absolute fact. why not accept Odyssey as absolute fact? And if that's the logical reasoning in which you're just accepting something as absolute fact, why couldn't Odyssey be absolute fact, okay? In some ways, Odyssey predates the Bible, or at least, they're about the same. Supposedly, Odyssey and the Trojan Wars happened about 1200, not 1200, sorry, 2200 BC, which is about the time of the Great Flood, which is about the time that Noah and the Ark happened, and basically they're about the same because, they both supposedly happened about the same time. If you want to take both as truth, then you could say that the Great Flood happened and then the Trojan Wars happened shortly thereafter. But if you're going to pick and choose, you can't just be spontaneously coming at one or the other, or even try to say, well, I want to believe the Bible because there's so much history and so many people that believe the Bible. It's got to be true. Well, even Yeshua himself said, broad is the way that leads to destruction, many there be that go in thereat, and narrow is the gate, or narrow is the way, straight's the gate that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Okay, yeah, you're saying about biologically connecting different species. Yeah, that's what the alien agenda would be to push on us. And so this definitely makes you wonder, if the way is so narrow, how come so few find it? How come so many millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people read the Bible or accept the Bible as true? And if you include the Muslims, they have the same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Christians, the Jews, all coming at it from a different point of view. They all disagree on millions of things. And even Christianity's got all these different denominations. The Muslims have different sects of Islam. Judaism has different categories, subcategories, denominations, sects of Judaism. Why can't anybody agree? Why does it have to be so different? Well, Yeshua says it's very few that find it. Why is very few people finding it, and why is it so difficult? That is something I'd like for you guys to ponder, and I'd like it to be a topic, and let us bring it up again in future live streams. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I do appreciate all your guys' comments, your likes, your subscriptions. Please subscribe if you are new to this channel. I would really appreciate it. And again, this is my message. I would like you guys to do what I've done. I keep journals. I got about 15 to 20 journals that I keep track of my memories, my dates and times. That really helps because they're trying to wipe away memories. Also with the religious beliefs, and I'd like to encourage you guys to constantly keep your mind focused and keep time set aside for technology. I know now you're either watching me on YouTube or I'm getting videotaped on YouTube. But let there be times in the day and throughout your life where you're not attached to this technology, because the technology will be what controls your mind, and it will be doing the thinking for you. And that was part of this January 2019 Illuminati agenda, is to take it a step further into controlling your mind with the technology. If they can control your mind, they can control your actions, they can control your religious beliefs, and they can control who you are, what you are, and who you are to come. Let that not happen, and let this be an example of a warning. May Yehovah be with you. I want to just say at the end of my stream, as I've said in so many before, Yevarekeka Yehovah, Yevarekeka Yehovah v'yishmerecha yeyer panav. Sorry, I just think that the Illuminati is trying to stop me from doing this. Okay. Yevarekeka Yehovah v'yishmerecha yeyer Yehovah panav elecha v'honecha yesa Yehovah panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. The Lord be with you and keep you. In the name of Yeshua ben David, I say these things. Amen.